Welcome everybody to Into the Score. My name is Avshai Darash. I'm your host for this podcast. And Into the Score, I get the chance to talk to very interesting people from the industries of arts, culture, entrepreneurship, and day-to-day politics. And today, I have someone that I'm going to probably fanboy throughout the entire podcast, is Jakop Ahlbom. How are you, Jakop?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
How are you? Good?
I'm good. I'm excited.
I'm also excited about this. Jakop, I would like to ask you to tell me a little bit of, about your path. How did you get to doing theater or creative arts in general? I'm asking this because there are some people that are going to listen to it and they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's good to just introduce you. So if you could tell me that, please.
Yes, I can. I will tell you. I'm originally from Sweden. I'm born close to Stockholm. And I grew up there. And actually my first interest in art was drawing. So I first tried to get into the art school in Sweden. I started with, pre-educations. And I finally also went to a private art school. But I was very young. I sort of stopped. The school system is different in Sweden. So I could stop at a young age. I think I was 16 and I didn't continue school. I just jumped into art school. But as I was very young and the most people were older and it was very lonely, I wanted to work with people. So I tried to find other ways, and that's how I came into acting. Actually, because I enjoyed movie, I thought, to learn to act on a movie, I have to first go to the theater. So that's how I sort of went into theater. So I tried for the theater school in Sweden, and they didn't take me. I even tried to go to RADA in London, and they didn't take me either. And finally, I ended up in Denmark, and I went 1 year in the school there. And then after that, I heard about the school in Holland, the mime school. So I went here, and I did the audition for the mime school, and they took me, and I finished in 98.
98. And... Yeah. Mime school, where is that exactly?
It is also part of the theater school in Amsterdam. So you have all the department, the dance, theater, director, production.
The one in Jodenbreestad.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great school. It's a great school.
Yeah, when I started, it was not in the Jodenbreestad. I did the last year there.
Okay.
So it was new. Yeah.
And miming, how...
Yeah, that's a very difficult... there's a sort of an idea of the mime, white face with white hand and pantomiming.
Yeah.
I think the mime school, it's as long as the mime school exists, I think for more than 30 years, or even more. I think it started in the 60s or 70s. I don't dare to burn my hands. But anyway, the people coming from the mime school in Holland, it's a very special school. And it's always a discussion what that now is. What is mime? And everyone has their own opinion what that is. I make visual theater, which is, I like eye candy, and I like to work from the physicality of the body. But I also do like to tell stories, but in my way. They more have a sort of a dream logic than a traditional way of storytelling. But still, there is a way of storytelling, and I use a lot of visual effects and physicality, so I mix a lot of media. So that's what mime is for me.
Yeah.
But for other people, they can do it in a different way. And sometimes people talk, sometimes it's closer to dance, sometimes it's more performing art-like, but still it comes from a sort of a similar source. Yeah. And the school is one of the sources.
It's interesting that you say that, because like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I'm going to fanboy, because your theater, I see it as, at least from the stuff that I saw live, and I also watched videos, which videos I have to say of theater is like, it's, for me, it's not the right experience. You have to be there in the space and experience all of that in your body. I see the major physical aspect of it. Basically the storytelling through the body, the storytelling through the manipulation of space. And was it something gradual that you got into, or was it like a thing that you had the vision from a young age when you got into it?
I think it's gradually went that way. I think visually, well, I take in things visually. So reading was always difficult for me. I do read, and now I read quite a lot actually. But I think I'm dyslexic. I can't. My grammar is not good, and I will do a lot of how you know it spellfouten.
Yeah.
Grammatical
Misspell,
misspell things.
Yeah.
So, and reading always took a lot of time. So watching movie was the way I could get stories, and movies very visually driven. It's a show don't tell. And I liked art, and I watch a lot of art, and I like drawing. So I think that's the main input. And when I started with the theater, there was a group in Sweden which was coming together on a regular basis, one evening a week or even two. And I joined them, and that turned out to be very physical. We did a lot of physical training, and I loved it. Then it's feeling the body moving. So that's how I got in to the physical way of presenting myself or telling things. And I think all these aspects comes together, the visual, the physical, and that's how it developed, that I use those elements to tell stories. And I don't know, I never, now I write because I have to prepare, so I do use the language, but I think putting all these things together becomes the form I use now. Yeah.
I mean, when you say that that you came in contact with that theater group and you saw the physicality of it, did it affect also your choice now in your career to actually work predominantly with dancers and not necessarily with theater actors?
Yeah, in the beginning it was even more dancer. Now it's really like a mix. But yes, because then they are more physical, flexible to adapt to certain situation, and also use the body more expressive.
Yeah.
But I turned also in because I believe everyone, as long as you can walk and move, you can move, and movement is also picking up a glass or opening a door. It's also sort of a movement, and you can control the movement on different levels. And I'm not a choreographer, so I don't make steps. I take the physicality out from the performers or the actors or the player. Yeah. So I use their body. So in that sense, they are part of the process. And in that sense, they use their own physicality, and it will always fit their body. And I can always do something with them.
Could you tell me a little bit about this process you just mentioned now of you're not a choreographer yourself? Because I, as someone who's a layman, I came to Knockout was the first piece of yours that I saw, which I thought that this is how it would look if Quentin Tarantino would make theater. And later on I checked the videos that were sent to me, and then also I saw horror, and I was like, this guy's a choreographer. I mean, but now that you say that you get the movements from the participants or from the actors or the dancers, what is that process? How does it look, actually?
Yeah, two things. So Knockout, I did it together with Marco Gerets from Ish. So in that sense, I had, and he is a choreographer, and we connected on the way to do stage fighting and things. So there I got help and support by him. And there were also dancers who also specialize a little bit doing tricks and stunts, and also martial art. When I work, then I look, so I control the situation, but that's the only moment where we do improvisation based on, depending on what we want to do. So or we have a theme, or we have a concrete situation that we want to explain through movement, and we play around it, and I give them tasks, or they come with suggestions, and then it's like I'm the sculpture then, so they bring the material, and I say, yeah, that's nice, and if you move, and then you do that, so I modulate with them, but they feed me all the time, and quite fast I set it. So that's I think the main important. I don't let people improvise for hours. I think after 5 minutes, that's quite long. So I like to fix things very fast because I believe I can always then build on it. When I have something, I can change it, I can adapt it. But if I have nothing, it's very hard. So I really want to fix things as fast as possible.
That's it's really interesting that you say that, because basically you are working in a workshop environment, right?
Yeah,
in
the
sense of,
rehearsal
like,
is a sort of a workshop environment. Yeah,
exactly. You work in a workshop environment, and then I wonder, it's a bit of a metaphysical question of like you giving space to the dancers or participants to also bring their own part in it, their own voice in it.
Yeah,
gives them some sort of fulfillment also, instead of do what I'm telling you.
yeah,
I'm telling you this because I worked with the dance company. It doesn't matter who. And I went on tour with them for a long time. I wrote the music for it. And I saw like the very clear hierarchy.
yeah,
You know, I'm God and you're subjugated to me.
yeah,
No, you're going to do these issues. Yeah, I'm going to have issues with you. You're replaceable. So I was pretty shocked by this, because at that time with the orchestra that I was working with, it was a little bit more like I brought an idea, but we worked it out together, and people felt like they have a voice. Is this something that you thought consciously to do, or is it something that you came in contact and you said, I want to give them more of that own voice, own fulfillment?
I think it's in my nature to do it that way. There will always be a sort of a hierarchy, and I think some art forms lean maybe very heavily on a sort of a tradition, which I also would consider is not needed anymore. Where you have somebody on top, it's more like a pyramid based. My hierarchy would be more flat. So I am the captain, and I will decide which direction we go. But I'm relying on other artists, I would say. And if you work together with people, you want to work together with them. So you also need to give space for their voice. And I think in that way, collaborating on a sort of, I would call it, so I am the director, so I have to guide it. So I have my responsibility for that part. And the set designer has responsible for that part. The actor or dancer has responsible for their part, but I also have to give them space and freedom within that part, even if that serves the bigger picture which I have in my head. And in a sense, I think if you are a painter, maybe then it's very solitude, you do it on your own. But other art forms like film, theater, and even music, except if you compose completely on your own, or you work together with other people. And I think it's important, or it's just nicer, because I don't have the answer to everything, and everyone brings something in, and there's one guiding in the sense that's me. But sometimes people have better, if something doesn't work, they have a better idea than me. And the best idea is the one that counts, as long as it fits within the concept. So I say we are going that direction, and then every idea which is pulling to that direction, I say that's a good idea, but it doesn't fit the direction. And we have to, so somebody have to sort of keep it together.
Yeah.
And I also need to know that I do have the final voice, the final cut. But I'm also insecure sometimes, or you have an idea, and when you try it out, you see it doesn't work. Shit. Because in the head, it's different than on stage. And there are so many aspects in a process which can go in another direction, and then you have to react at the moment.
Yeah.
And then the input and the openness you have to the other collaborators, it's fantastic.
Yes.
And everyone have more fun. It is, I think it can only be better.
Yeah, and you're creating actually also sustainable relationships.
Yeah.
This is really important in our industry, to create sustainable relationships, because it's, I mean, I can only talk from the music aspect of it, is that a lot of people feel the lack of loyalty there, that it's kind of like, you don't fulfill any more my needs, and I will just find someone else. And that comes a lot of times when people are, we call it like swimming with your hands to your chest, that you want to have all the control, you want to have everything, and then basically what happens a lot of times is that it drowns. Yeah. But from what you tell me now, it's a sustainable model. Yeah. And actually it also gives voice to people to express themselves in an environment that maybe could be that they come from art forms that they cannot express themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to ask you also about sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Something very prevalent that I saw in your work. In
Yeah.
every single piece that I saw, I really saw how I'm calling it sleight of stage. I was sitting with my wife and doing horror, and I was like, this is sleight of stage, you know? Because you clearly work with attention span, blind spots, and misdirection. How did you get to that? What was the process?
Yeah, I think that it is like a cliche saying, when I was a child, that was my dream.
Cliches are there for a reason.
I say so too. So they say, kill your darling. No, caress your darling, because that maybe makes you special. And they are a darling for a reason. No, still you should also be, sometimes it's good to kill your darling. Well, I had a fascination for magic, and it's true that was something when I was young that I found very fascinating. Only thing is, where I came from in a small village in Sweden, it is something which is not accessible for me. It's something beyond that somebody is born lucky within that system. But lately I met a magician, and here in Holland actually, and I really wanted to make something in theater to use magic as a way of as a theater language. And this which is now a friend of mine, Woody Wood, a Dutch magician, he helped me in the beginning, and we still have contact, and he still helps me when I need something.
He helps you with actually the staging and
in the first show I made, I wanted to use some magic, and then he helped a little bit, and then we made one show where he really sort of followed it, where I actually decided to tell a story about the magician. I wanted to make the step to really use magic, and the first time I had a lot of idea, and we tried out, but it didn't work, and I didn't find the right way, so half of my ideas I had to throw away. And I thought, how can I really find a project? I need to find a project so I can explore it to the max. So I even made a 5-week exploration time only for the magic, and I had a lot of ideas, and I asked this friend Woody to help me, and we were sitting down and we were rehearsing, and we were only making magic, what we could use. And I thought, I will base the story on a magician, so then people won't think it's weird if we do straightforward magic. Because in the end, now what you have seen also with horror and with Knockout, I try to adapt it within the story, so it doesn't look like ta-ta.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want to see the box which looks like a magician's box. If it's a table, it's a real table. If it's a cupboard, it's a real cupboard. So the things are real. And
to the eyes,
to the
eyes.
That's
Because
true.
in horror, for instance, with the couches facing the audience, you don't see the cut there.
No.
And because there was just before they pulled the bride in, the attention was somewhere else, so you only see the feet. But then afterwards, I saw the movie, and I was like, "Oh, you can really see that she was pulled in."
Yeah.
But in your head,
it goes so far because you don't need to fall. And that's the nice thing with the theater. If you go to a magic show, the condition is already okay, so you are a little bit prepared.
Yeah.
But in a theater, you're not prepared at all. And I direct you through the storytelling, and that will follow your attention.
Yeah.
So I don't. Misdirection it's automatic.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And what I also like to, because I like the movie, and my entrance to theater is actually wanting to make movies, and I ended up doing theater. And magic doesn't work on film, because film is a magic medium by itself.
Yeah.
So we know that we can make tricks on camera, but in theater you can make theater feel and look like movies because you make a sort of a montage with visual effects live on stage, and they are much more effectful. And I want to touch people emotionally and also give them a sort of a fantastic experience. I like that. I like circus. I like spectacle. And I think
comedy also. I see a lot of funny stuff.
and I think that's also important. I think there's The David LaChapelle? No,
Chapelle, okay.
the photographer.
I don't know. No.
Yeah, I think you know. He's
If I'll see,
he
probably,
says,
yeah.
if you want reality, take the bus. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
one.
and so you want to make something which have reference to the reality, but enhance it, make it the experience bigger, and I like that. And with magic, I can bring something visually and something fantastic, and hopefully also still touch people in a way, make them an experience they never experience elsewhere.
Yeah, it's interesting because and this is something I wanted to ask you, which I'm happy that we're sitting here and I can actually ask you because I'm so curious always about the process of people. Is that, like, for instance, with horror, what I saw, and also with Knockout and with Lebensraum also, is that you're taking, let's say, generic concepts of that style.
Yeah.
You weave them all together, and what it does to me as a spectator is that I project into it my own experience of knowing what it is. I'm a huge fan of horror, huge fan of fighting, huge fan of, so it's like it just fell right into like my cup of tea. Was it something, because you're agreeing with what I'm saying here, so my assumption was correct in that sense. Was it something natural that happened that you know that it will reach a broader audience through that? Or was it like a thing that happened by itself?
I think in that sense it's a thing that happened, which I'm happy with, because I think somebody wrote something about me a long time ago before Knockout and so in the beginning, and they said in a sort of a negative way, in a Dutch it says Jakop, he wants to please the audience, but put it in a negative, and they say, of course I want to please the audience. Why wouldn't I?
Can you imagine a director just doing the worst possible piece, and it's like, no, it's because I don't want to please anyone.
But that doesn't mean that I don't artistically have a need to tell something. But I do want to reach a big audience as possible. That's not possible all the time, depending on the what you're doing. And I also agree that there are some things which have a sort of a bigger accessibility, or are more entertaining or easy digested than something else. And depending on that, your audience also will shrink or grow. And my mission is that I really would like to mend these two things, because I can love and appreciate if we will call commercial things in the theater form or art form, but I also love artistic, more art house, if we would use that terminologic word. But I think there is no line that has to be cut in between. We can mix them together. I think both horror and Knockout is a good example, which commercially reached a big audience and also got attention in that sense. And I know that we toured horror in Germany with a commercial party, because they don't have the traveling system with theater like in Holland. There is a town theater and it's booked, so you just don't get in there. But there is a commercial producer. They can rent different venues, and then they put shows in there. And one of these organizations took horror because they liked it and put it like a show then. And then they ended up that first it went really well, and then it got a little bit less. And Germany is also quite hard on what is commercial theater and what is artistic theater. And this is for the artistic people, they found it then too commercial. And for the commercial people, it's too artistic. So you fall in a sort of a gap in between. And I said, that's horrible. And also people can't say, what is it what you are doing? But in the end, I think, but that's exactly what I want to be. And I hope if my stamina is strong enough, I will maintain this. And slowly it will reach more and more the people, and they will make the connection together with me. And it feels like it's also happening. So that's, And I like the idea what's coincidentally happened with horror and with Knockout, that theater don't have genres like a movie. So because I love movie, So why don't we put genre theater?
I mean,
That's
like
what does happen.
I went there with my 10-year-old. He was 10 at that time. He's 12 now, so it was 2 years ago. He loved it, by the way.
Yeah.
Knockout. I'm talking about Knockout. I
Yeah.
think horror would be a bit too much for him, but he loved Knockout. And I was sitting there and I just told him, this is how film would look on theater, on
Yeah.
stage. And that's exactly, and like I said, this is, if Quentin Tarantino would make
Yeah.
theater, that would be that.
Yeah.
Was he actually a big influence on you?
Well, yes, I think it was more an influence for Marco for Knockout, but I do like his work, and I even read his script. I read now Pulp Fiction, and he's a really, really good writer. And and
Him
he
and Roger Avery, yeah.
Mm.
Roger Avery also that wrote with him. That
Okay, yeah, it's
yeah.
and he wants to do something different, but he also want to have fun, and he's not hiding back that he enjoys certain things, and why not?
Yeah.
And I in that sense I totally agree, and still there is a sort of artistic soul in me, and that's for sure also with Tarantino. He's not just doing it; he's standing behind what he's doing, and he also tries to say something. And and one element doesn't have to exclude the other thing. And I think for young people now, and especially today, also when media is so strong, and with all social media and telephones, it goes so fast. Information comes so fast, and there's a sort of a stigma that theater is intellectual, it's boring, it's too long, I don't understand it. And yes, it can be, but it doesn't have to.
Mm.
And I think it's sometimes I say maybe bad example, but drinking coffee, for a young person who first drinks black coffee, it doesn't taste good. You learn to enjoy it. So maybe with milk
Acquired
and sugar,
taste.
it
Yeah.
gets more accessible,
Yeah.
and then in the end you can do the pure espresso.
Yeah.
And I hope maybe I help in that way. I mix things to get people into the art form,
Yeah.
and then they will love also all the other art forms, because I love them all.
But this is exactly the thing of using cultural canons inside of your work to be able to make it accessible for people.
Yeah.
In that sense, right? Am I
Yeah.
correct in that? So it's not like a detached thing that doesn't have any historical background. That's why for people that really like horror, go and see it. But it's like the genre, because the stuff that you used on the surface, it's generic if you think about it. The couple that is with the weird friend, what happened in the house, the two girls, the abusive parents, then the other story of the married couple, the girls coming out and even going into these are all things that we have seen growing and being developed, let's say, in the cultural canon, like I said, of horror movies. But to put them all together, The Ring also, of course, when she came out with the thing, it was masterfully created. It was, the craft there is great. It's really like very detailed and thought after at least that's my opinion, of course, of like every single movement that was there was thought after.
Yeah.
And that's why people that are big fans of that get connected to it. The same with Knockout. People that like fighting, people that like, Americana music, people that like these type of things. They're Slide of Stage, you know, they get connected to it. And whoever says something negatively, haters gonna hate. I mean,
In the end, you can't reach everyone, so you also have to accept that. And,
if you want to please everybody, sell ice cream, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or work at McDonald's. No. I think that's Circus, the scenario writer. He says if you are a chef cook, you don't want to end up making a McDonald's hamburger. If you want to take away everything which can offend in one way or another, you come to something which doesn't express anything anymore.
Yeah.
So of course we have to take risk. And I would want to do that also, and I try, but it's different to sort of push people away or to try to express things in a very clear and a very direct way. And I think also we shouldn't be too afraid of doing things, and some people will like it and some will not. So that's for sure. I think what's funny with horror, because horror is a genre which a lot of people don't like. If you go, and especially older people, and if you say horror, I don't like horror, I'm not going to go. But they come to see a show from me because I did other things, so they go and see it, and they also enjoy it. So that I also like. So this you can with the theater, because if I would make a horror movie, I think I wouldn't do that. Now I have the advantage I do theater, so I can take elements from movie and quote them, and that makes it different. And still, I think what also made why horror also reach a more level, because there is also a poetic sense to it in the picture, in the visuality, but there is also a dramatic storytelling about abuse in a family situation. So there is a trauma that somebody has to come over, and that's the sort of the source of the story. So all the effect and element and the humor gets connected also to a dramatic storytelling, in a sense, of a woman who tries to fight her own demons, and especially to overcome her traumatic experience from her youth. And that's the base of the horror story. So in that sense, you can reach people on different levels.
Yeah. Something interesting that I found with your work is that there is no text from the actors or dancers, but there is text in the music.
Yeah.
That actually tells a very specific story within the music, but the physicality expresses it then, enhances it. What is the role of music for you in that sense?
Yeah, I love music, and actually I would also, I use Knockout. There's a live musician, and
Lebensraum also.
Lebensraum also, and then they sing, and especially in Knockout we use the mariachi or the cowboy to sing the story of the couple in the show, to tell the story.
It was very funny.
Through it, And I use it before also music, so I would really like to tell the story through music. I did 2 operas, but I like pop music, if we call it like this, and especially guitar-based. And I think music it doesn't by itself, it's a pure emotional thing. So it touch you or it doesn't, or depends on you. But it's something which goes directly, and we don't talk about what it means or something. We just feel, and I like that aspect of music. And for horror, it's different because there is more like a film score, but it's like you say, even if it's not literally words, it musically, like movie does. You don't even notice it, but it affects how you feel when it gets exciting, when you relax, and I think with the horror. Wim Conrado made the music, and I worked several times with him, and I knew he's the only one that can do this. So when I said, I'm going to do the horror and you have to do the music, and he says, when are you going to do it? And I told him my planning, and he said, but I can't. And I said, that's impossible, you have to. So we were really moving around to make it happen, and I think it's the scoring musically with horror is...
it's great.
Yeah, it worked fantastic.
I see it more as sound design.
It is more sound. He's also a sound designer.
Yeah, it was really like using the drone and the jump scares and like it's coming. It's also... great, sound design.
Yeah, but he's a magician with sounds. It's unbelievable, and he added new things now. When now it's 10 years ago, and I added it every time. I have to add something. No, I don't have to, but I feel it, and especially for this 10 year, I think I want to do something so that people, when they come and see it again, they see something new that they didn't see before.
Nice.
And I needed some more music, and then he goes in, and immediately I don't have to say anything to him. He just automatically know exactly what to do.
Wow! How did you meet, actually?
Through theater. I work for another theater group, or together with another theater group, where he always made the sound design, and that's how we met. Yeah. So then he made it for Vielfalt. I think for 5 or 6 production, he made music for me. Yeah.
What was the process of going after your own thing? I mean, because a lot of people get stuck in the sideman thing of working for other people. What was it for you? How did it happen?
I think it happened by I wanted to do certain things especially because I want to be a performer. So I went to school to act. I want to be on the stage, do things. And I saw other groups. I saw Deviate, for example, and I saw Alan Platel, and I saw that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. That's me. And I go and I make audition, and they don't see me. They throw me, and they look for other people. And I don't. How can I mean? I'm. It's like I was born.
It's my heart.
I was born to do this. But with a lot of things, I get rejected, and then I thought, okay, then I'm gonna create my own world. And I started within school. Then, okay, I'm gonna make a production the way where I would love to perform. So it's really like an organic thing. And then it went on. And in the end, it was too difficult to be on stage and to control the situation a little bit. So then I decided, okay, I step out and I'm only going to look. And then I enjoy that very much. And now I hardly perform. I mostly direct.
So correct me if I'm wrong. If everything went according to a plan of Jakop, like Kingdom Jakop, you would be on stage acting and...
No, not necessary. I realized that I'm this to be
without the rejections. I'm talking without the rejections, without all of that. You'll get all the auditions.
Maybe they helped.
And then the world will be spared from these great pieces.
Maybe.
No, because the reason I'm saying it is because rejection is a very integral part of our business.
True, I agree.
Any performance art, if anyone is listening to it, if you have been rejected and you continue, it means that there is something greater on the other end of it for you, waiting.
As long as you are, you don't give up, and I think I think you should be more scared if you don't get rejected, because you don't know. There's no, if we don't dare to express what we want to express, then we're only serving another aim. So you have to serve your own goals, and we don't know what it's going to be. We can't look in a crystal ball to see the future. And the intention will always be good, but if you work in a collaborative way, like theater is for me, then there are aspects you can't foresee. You do get experience, you do know, and you can anticipate better and better and better. And for me, I also learn to trust my instinct better and better and better. And the only scary things for me is that I maybe get I get scared to try and take more risk. So this is what I have to work on, because I'm afraid, and maybe if it's failed, then whatever.
They come after you,
Who knows?
Exactly.
And then, but you don't be afraid to fail, because you don't know. You have to go for what you want to do. That's advice for myself.
When did you realize that you're successful? When did it hit?
That's hard. Still, I have a difficult with this. I feel I'm still the boy, just finished school and being excited with everything I come across, and just I know that with the Feel Fight, I always say is the one which got noticed, where people saw it, which never would come to this theater before, and we got invited for the theater festival, and that had a huge impact. And since then, and I know that as Lebensraum been touring all over, and horror also, and that Knockout, that these are for the big public successful pieces. How successful I am as a person, I don't know. Now I'm lucky to have my name as I didn't want to have my name, Jakop Ahlbom Company. I made a performance, so that was Jakop Ahlbom. I didn't have a name. So then I continue make something, and in the end, it's better to keep my name than to invent a new one. But luckily, that helps that my name is known, so that helps a little bit in the fame of Jakop Ahlbom. But when I'm home, I don't feel it. When I talk with other people, I sometimes hear that people look at me in another way that I don't know.
They just project, Yeah.
So this I have no control over. But I'm a normal person.
Do you deal with imposter syndrome?
No, I don't think so. And I don't know how you then mean it, that somebody tried to copy me. And
No. Imposter syndrome is it's exactly the opposite. It's that you have the success and people are praising you, but deep down an insecurity says that it's either going to be taken from me or people are going to know, people are going to see that I'm not that
I'm
good.
I'm a fake.
That I'm a fake, exactly,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
imposter.
Yeah. Imposter is somebody pretending to be something they are not.
Yes.
So that's me for me. I don't know. I'm not. No, I'm not scared of that. But I think I do. I am. Every time I'm scared and I don't know what's happening, and I still think I can be better, and and I'm. Well, shy is maybe a big word, but I'm not a very. I'm sometimes amazed how people can be so. Wadala, I can't. I'm doubting a lot. Maybe comes also I have a sort of suffer from being very perfectionistic in some way, and I try to be patient. I think I'm also now more patient than I was before.
Patient towards
it doesn't have to be solved immediately. That if it doesn't work out, it has to sort of take time, and also be patient with the people you work with. So I believe that, and that's what we talked about before, to keep a good working circumstances where you also care for each other, to respect the people with whom you are working, is as important to the work you are doing, because it will enhance also the outcome.
Exactly.
So like most of our production, horror and knockout, if we use them, the rehearsal period was fantastic. It was like a party.
Yeah.
And people had so much fun. And now still touring with horror. This is the same group who made it 10 years ago.
Wow.
And most of them also performed more or less all of the performances. And it feels like a family in a good sense. And it's they really enjoy working together. And you feel also the trust and they have for each other makes also that the performance reach a totally other level, and which I think the audience can see and feel.
You basically create a community with what you're doing.
In a way, yeah. And I like that also. I like to work in that sense. But there is a keer side, I would say. There's another side of the coin. I mean, it can be that it's too close, that it's too that you are not seeing the things the way you should see them, and that things get too familiar, so you can get in problematic situation.
How do you keep that distance?
Yeah, I don't know really. I try to.
I mean, the fact that you have this awareness means that it's there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I do think it's good to change certain things sometimes, to also bring new people in to get, otherwise because the danger is you develop one thing, but it also stagnates. So other perspective, other voices is also important. One is, of course, that everyone gets 10 years older.
Exactly.
So
and it's so physical.
And if we continue, then they are 20 years older. So it is nice to have different ages, different cultural backgrounds, a new experience, circus artists, maybe musicians, because so I think you have to also be open to new things. So I try to mix them. So my way is then to have a lot of people that are new and make them come back in combination with new people, and then there comes a good mix.
How do you deal with conflict? With tension within the group, how do you deal with it?
I run away. No. Yes, difficult, I think. But I think I'm good now, so there's not so many conflicts. As people are not getting angry, and I'm not getting angry. I think very much in the beginning, I could walk out and slam a door, but that's very, very long time ago. And I think now, if you would ask one of the performers now, they never see me angry, really angry, screaming or doing something. I don't see, even if I feel that things are not going wrong, I will never start screaming. And I will never address one person and put them on a sort of that they did something wrong.
Yeah.
I would go away and think it over and see how I could approach the situation in a good way.
And you learned it actually from experience, I
Yes.
guess, right? You learned from doing the opposite, I guess, or
Yeah, and I've seen and I hear, and if I hear stories from other situations where a director can be choleric or whatever and be angry, and it is people get people close up and they get afraid. And I think, as I said, as we all said, that we try, and maybe we fall, and then we stand up and we try again. And if I don't let my performers or collaborators also come with what they say is a stupid idea, I would say there is no stupid idea. Brainstorming is you throw as many ideas, and the more idea you throw, in the end you will get the brilliant ideas. But you have to go through all the stupid ideas, if we use that word. So I think if I give the trust that people can do something silly and it's fantastic and it's fine, and then we do it again and we do something else, and then I also the people feel more safe and more trust, and then we can reach beyond that surface and go deeper into the things we want to do.
Man, I feel so inspired. It's great. When do you know that something is finished?
Yeah, that's hard. I think I know now better. In the beginning, it was very difficult to know when it's really finished, and I have a feeling that my first production never really ended, or that it's finished. I think horror, especially, it's round. I think Lebensraum also got round. I think Knockout is good. It's I could work on it again.
Interesting.
And I made another performance, In and Show, which I really love, which is not one of the biggest success. I think for a lot of our audience, it's one favorite. But I think even if I remade it once, so there are two versions, it's still not finished for me. I think I didn't manage to make that become what it needs to be.
Yeah.
I think everything is there, but it still has. I could do it again.
Do you think that it has to do with you changing? That you want to continue?
That's a good question. It is. I don't know. Both. Yeah.
Because you're gonna change. We are changing, but the piece has been created in a specific time of your life.
Yes.
And I wonder if it's like meandering, like I need to make more, I need to change, because you changed, but that was perfect in that moment.
Yeah.
It's like for us, for musicians, what we deal with are recordings.
Yeah.
That's it. You recorded it, you brought it out.
Yeah.
You cannot go back. And there are remasters and stuff like this. Usually happens with old recordings. It goes through new technology. You can bring out more the bass. You can bring out more stuff. So it's more accessible to sound systems of today. It sounds bigger and more in like the line of productions today. But we cannot touch it.
No.
We cannot.
But live you could do it.
Live, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Live, like I'm working on this show that I'm doing right now, and I know that it's like, in the last show, it's better if we do this, better if but the album,
that's finished. Then
that's it. Yeah. And that's something that we are confronted with all the time.
Yeah.
Because I hear work of mine from like 6-7 years ago, and I'm like, oh God, cringy.
But still, it is, you needed to do that, to do the next, to do that, because the nice thing is also that you see that there's a development also. I have a feeling sometimes also that you want to do something, but it's not, how you call it, it's not mature enough yet. And I think with the inner show, there's a lot of element, but there's still needs more care and needs more time. That's also, for me, I'm somebody who happily take a lot of time, and that gets more and more problematic, because the more time you need, the more expensive things becomes.
Yep.
So people commercially, you have to rehearse as little as possible, and I want to rehearse as much as possible, also to be able to do the technical things that I do. And I think that's one of the major selling items from the performance I make, that visually it's astonishing.
Yeah.
The production value is very high, and technically it's amazing.
Yeah.
But that needs time and needs care, and not only from me, but from everyone being part of that process. And that cost time.
Yeah.
And time costs money. And I think for some production, we need even more time, and that was not available at that time. Yeah.
Do you feel that you had to, because I mean, this is a type of mindset. It's not, if correct me if I'm wrong, it's not something that you understood that you needed.
No, it's a natural thing.
It's a natural thing. So did you have to take concessions in the beginning before the big budgets arrived, before this, when you had
No, I
this
just
idea?
did it, and I was lucky enough that people joined me in that sense, and sometimes, like for Vielfalt, we asked for exploration budget for the things, and I got extra supported for that, so I could do it. And now I just calculate that in, so that's part of the calculation.
Because you have structural subsidy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to take that into account.
How is that world for you? The structural subsidy?
It's good. It should be longer. No, 4 years, fantastic, and I'm very happy. But it's when you get it, you have like 1 free year, because then you have to start thinking what the next season, what to do. So in the first year, you don't have to think anymore. In the second year, you have to start thinking what you're going to do, because in the third year, you have to write it and apply 1 year ahead.
Exactly.
And then you have the last year.
And then you have the last year, which is like, it's okay, because the funds are checking the
and
second
because
and
then
the
you are
third.
scared, because maybe I don't get it again.
Exactly.
So it keeps you on the edge all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's good.
How long do you have it already? How many cycles you did already?
I think this was the 5th time. So it's
20 years. Wow, 20 years. Okay.
Yeah, no, 16 years. Because the first 2006, 16 years.
16 years. So you had a hiatus in the
4 years.
It's 4 years, but you said 5th cycle.
Yeah, he's starting now.
Starting now.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
start. I mean, it's going now the 1st of January.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be my
that will be the 5th. Okay.
Yeah, that would be my 5th.
And then it's the 20. Yeah. Okay.
I think the system, Holland, we complain a lot. For sure, there should be more money for art. I think art is education, art, and care should be well financed, because we need it. And I think art is a very important thing, because I see it broader. Yeah, music is art, theater is art, but a cafe is art. Things where people go out and do things. Young people, if we support it so they can express themselves through what they feel.
Through metaphors, actually.
And that's very important. And I think that brings a lot of people together. Yeah. And I think music is maybe one of the sources which is the strongest in that sense, that you can talk beyond languages, beyond culture, beyond whatever. And that's fantastic. And I think we can't spend enough on it.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
And the Dutch system has a system that do give quite good funding. So I think it's we want to make it better. And I think the best thing is that they should get more money from the government. But I think I'm happy it's there. I think it's not in other countries. It's not really the same system.
No.
And of course, it's always difficult who will get money and who will not. And like last time, it's a disaster how groups who have been building up something for years and an audience, they do great things, and they add something to the culture, and then suddenly they have nothing and they can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, I have some
really,
friends that
really sad.
Yeah, I have some friends that got really, really damaged.
So then I'm on the lucky side,
Yeah.
but I'm also sad then, because then there comes a lot of pressure I feel on me that I have to compensate that what other people brings me, because I get inspired by other people also in the work I do.
Yeah.
So that's sad that there's not enough for everyone.
I want to draw a scenario for you. Imagine that you could sit with yourself, the Jakop that just got to Amsterdam, and you can sit for him for, let's say, a podcast or a cup of coffee,
Okay.
what would be the advice that you would give him with all the knowledge that you have now?
Okay. Oh, so good. Now I have to think. Yeah, I'm always falling into cliches in that sense. I think never give up will be there, but that's a sense that I didn't do it, so that's a very obvious one. I think patient is a good thing, and yeah, trust the things you do, and in a sense, I do want to please everyone, but if you don't please anyone, that doesn't mean that you're not doing something which is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important, that you stick with the things what fascinates you and then go for it. And just do it. I think that is because that I try with my own children also, as with the drawing, and you start and then you throw it away. Or you start writing something, and you cripple and you throw it away. I think I would continue, finish it. Even if you throw it away when it's finished. Don't stop half the way and think it's bad. Finish it, because you learn to go through you have to go through a complete process, and then you put it aside. So I think I also read with an advice for scenario writing also that don't start rewriting before you finished. So if you want to write a script, write the whole script and then rewrite it. Because it's a danger that you start rewriting the first two scenes forever and you're never going to get to the end.
Yeah.
Go to the end,
Yeah.
then start rewriting.
Yeah.
I think that would be probably finish the things.
That's a great one.
And then you can always change things.
Yeah.
Or start a new one.
Also, I think what it teaches, the thing of finishing, is to do the legwork, to do this like bulk work and to see also, to have this perspective of beginning, middle, end. Because if you're only beginning, middle, then you don't have this like a closure of, I got to the end, now I have really perspective.
Yes.
Now I know, this is worked. Oh, here are the problems. Here's the problem. Here's this.
Yeah.
To take space from it. And, for instance, in my process, I do work with a digital audio workstation. I compose for orchestras or for piano and this. But I record everything before that. And then I can sit back and listen to it as a listener.
Yeah.
So I'm not, because when I'm playing, I'm not there fully to listen as someone who will consume the music.
Yeah, no.
And then I can see, this part is too short.
Yeah.
Or they need to expand this a little bit. Oh, why are we going into this again?
Yeah.
But while I'm playing, I can't, because
No.
I'm inside the experience. It's like I'm doing my own dramaturgy almost, almost like I understand that. And this is something that I think in all creative arts is kind of puts you in like a different caliber in that sense, to be able to finish.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are walking with so much self-doubt and self-criticism.
Yeah, but also this passion of because you learn by doing the things. That is, you can't. It's an illusion to think that you just know it and you can do it.
Right.
And maybe you can't, as a starting talent. I think give you a sort of a head start maybe in something.
Yeah.
But to really make you good, also a cliche again, is to do the work. You become better the more often you do it. What you give water will grow. And I think in any whatever you do, doesn't matter what you do, the more often you do something, you will get better. And so that's there's no working around that. You just have to do it. And that's why with directing, for me, if I would be a writer, I can write. And I listen to a podcast, and also I didn't realize that. So that's also a good thing that we see a writer, we get a book, a bestseller, and the first book, and we think that's the first book, and it gets published. Most of the writers, before they published one book, they already written 5 to 20 books.
Yeah.
Before they got one published, and it seems that one published, that you think that's the first book they wrote. No, they already written several books before that book, and so that, and for me, but still they can do it. I need a studio, I need actors to really exercise my art as a director, there's so many elements that I need. That's the same with a film director. A film director can't exercise home. He can exercise planning things, of writing, but not directing, not working with people, working with all these departments. Me also not. That's only when I get the production. So it's a very slow. So then it gets more. Sometimes I get jealous with people who do 2, 3, 4 projects in a year. But at the same time, I say, but how is it possible? I mean, it takes me my mindset only to go in to make one is.
It's interesting with jealousy. I think it's interesting with jealousy. It's like we're. I mean, I'm going to generalize here, but I think with what happens most of the time is that we compare our internal process to the exterior image of someone else.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like you can't know what they're going through. You don't know, and then it's like I think Voltaire is the one that said it, or Teddy Roosevelt. I can't remember. The comparison is a thief of joy, because we don't really know what is going there. And I think as long as you're making something that is substantial and touches people, who cares about the other ones, what they do, or let's say the capacity of their work. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't withdraw from you.
No.
You know, that doesn't take.
And it's not going to help you in any sense.
No.
And it is, and it's only also superficial, thank you, because it means you want to be in a position they have, or enjoy the fame, enjoy the success, enjoy whatever, or have the value or the objects. It's a superficial things, and it's very normal, and I can understand it, and I can't say I don't have it. But I think it's important to not let it take over, and especially if you as a musician also, you work with other people, if you get jealous as your colleagues, it's, I mean, if I also want, if somebody we want theater to be good. If we see all bad theater, nobody going to enjoy theater. So I'm happy if there are good theater to go and see, and it can inspire me. Yeah. So if I make good work, that's good, but I want theater to be good. So let's work together. I think we can work more together and support each other more to make the art form. I mean, even if we disagree maybe with certain element of the art, one thing we do agree about, we love theater. And I mean, there we can connect all the time.
Exactly. I mean, look, interpersonal politics, ambition, we're not an egalitarian society where everybody's just equal, and that's just what it is. Yeah. But what we can agree on, just like you said, is that we are there because of love, like very deep love, very deep passion that goes beyond this, like, I'm going to be successful. That comes later. That gets corrupted a little bit by, capitalistic view of expansion constantly. I need to dominate markets, stuff. People have it. It's okay. The thing that we are missing out sometimes, and I think that it comes from famine mentality, this thing of we don't have enough, and he has more than me, and she is this and they are this.
It's always greener on the other side, eh?
Well, a lot of times very green grass is also fake, So anyway. Look, fake grass is really green, huh?
True. Yeah, but it's also we can't do so much about it, and it's true. Somebody have different aim with the quality. I saw the documentary. It's on HBO, I think, of Steven Spielberg, and he grew up with a group of filmmakers. I don't know if you saw the documentary.
No.
But it's a nice then. But I think Abel Ferrara is part, and Brian De Palma.
Wow.
Coppola. So it's but they all got sort of on different level very successful. The most successful was of course Spielberg, and he got the richest of them all. But still, I think today they drink beer together and talk about art. And I think Brian De Palma also helps Spielberg on the set with. So they share the love of the art of film, but in the expression they are totally different in what they are doing. I mean, and reaching a different kind of audience.
Yeah, that's a thing of like the community is really important.
Yeah,
community, because without community, we will still be in caves.
Yeah.
I mean, no, seriously, without community, which is connected also to tribalism.
Yeah.
And tribalism is a thing that later on created cities and created civilization. But that's why, and I'm seeing it a lot in the jazz scene, which is really, it breaks my heart sometimes, because they're really, when someone is successful, other people are not happy about this. They're not really like, they're like, so he got like this, and he got that, and he got this, and where am I? How does it reflect on me? What does that mean about me? I think that we can all really help each other, and there is enough space for everybody also. I really believe that there's enough space. Maybe I'm naive in that when I say enough space for everybody to express themselves and to be successful in that and to go ahead and do that. I get a chance to talk to a lot of people that are, as yourself, people that are, top in their industry and etc. It's the common denominator that I'm seeing is humility. They're humble.
Yeah.
Because you understand that you came from humble beginnings. Like you said, I came from this like little village. I asked you when did you understand you're successful? You said, I'm still that little kid. Yeah. But that little kid had a lot of curiosity. Yeah. And that little kid is the thing that pushed it. And my next question is, does talent exist?
Ooh,
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know what talent is. I don't know. I think there is a need to do something, or actually what you say, the curiosity in something, getting curious. And I still learn. I still want to. Now I started drawing again, and I try to dig into that deeper, and then I take a course to go back to that. When magic, I start really learning to do the magic. And so I'm constant learning the curiosity. And there are certain things where you dig deeper into because you are fascinated about that. So maybe the talent is connected to that urge, that need, the curiosity to get something. There are some people who pick up something and then it goes a little bit faster doing it. But by going into it, I think there is some, I don't know if it's talent. It is maybe talent and the need or the curiosity or the for something are sort of a similar. To finally do it, everyone has to work. There's no way around it. But talent is maybe the first step to get curious to something that you feel something is fit. The glove fits a little bit better than the other glove in a way.
Do you remember for yourself a moment when you understood, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna do everything I could to just go and pursue this?
I had one experience like that. I did the audition for the acting school in Sweden. So I did in Stockholm.
How old were you? 17?
I think I'm 18 or 19. And I also went to RADA. RADA, I got kicked out immediately. I went there because I had an idea that I want to go away from Sweden. But I also tried in Sweden. So in Stockholm, I did. You have to do a monologue, and then you hear if you get through. So I didn't get through. And in Malmö, I did my first monologue in the morning, and then you get sort of in the afternoon or at the lunchtime, they write the people who can go to the afternoon, they will do the second monologue. And after that, they go on. And I passed the first monologue, and I could do my second. I was very excited. And I was doing my monologue, and I think there were 12 people sitting behind the desk looking at me, and I was peeing in my pants. I was so nervous. I didn't pee really. But I stand there, and but I had this, so there was something burning, and I know the thought, it was so clear in my head, sort of, I want this. I want this. And if they don't take me, I don't know anymore, because I don't know, I can't be perfect now, but that's what I want to learn. I want to learn this, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And if you don't take me now, then I don't know that, because this is what I want to do. And they didn't take me. And I'm here now, so I kept that. Yeah.
So it's that.
It led to something else, but that was the starting point. And
So it's that burning desire.
then
actually.
I knew I don't know how to do it now, but that's what I want to learn.
Mm.
But I do want to do this. This is what I want to do. This is so nervous. If I would follow my feeling, I would run away. But I'm not, because I want this. So that's really kept me there on track. So I think that's...
So basically you didn't follow your initial, let's say, flight or fight mode,
no.
right? The anxiety of like
No,
this.
I did
You
it.
followed something deeper than that. That is something I'm so curious
I
about.
made a decision there.
Yeah.
So I was not depending if they're going to take me or not. That was not the issue anymore. I will go on anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What would be the advice you would give people finishing theater school right now?
Yeah, it depends on what they want to do. Finish if they want to be directing, acting, playing. So it's yeah. So I hope if you did the school, I mean, obviously there is. They got in, they finished the 4 years.
They did their...
So they will probably have the opportunity to show themselves and to get in somewhere, and then just do what you're doing, and as much as you can. I think it's because we had of this, what is success and the jealousy, it's also based on the status somebody have. So when there's enough room, you said, for everyone, and I believe also that there is, of course, not everyone can be on the top. So there's a different level how you express the things you do. So if you think you are only valid if you are on a certain level, I think that's something which can destroy. So just start, because if you are doing it and you are enjoying it, you are expressing yourself through that art form or whatever occupation you have, then that is good. And from there on, it can only develop.
Yeah.
So things, if you finish the theater school and you hope that you're going to get the main role in a big stage production, even if you get offered a small role, take it. Take all the things and do it, and give it, and give yourself, stay open what somebody's trying to do. Because protesting then is also not going to help you, because then you're blocking the whole system. So you can better go for it and then judge afterwards, and every experience will lead to the next. So it's also be happy with the things you get and make the best of it. And I think it's always what you bring in, it's also what you're going to get out. So if you don't bring anything in, you're not going to get so much out of it. Yeah.
Exactly. You have to give to be able to receive.
And you have more fun. Come on, so we can complain and yeah, okay. But then you make the whole process a hell for everyone.
Yeah.
Step out, give the space for somebody else who will enjoy it.
Yes, exactly. I think that's what people sometimes forget, is that it is special to be involved in it. It is a special thing to have this type of curiosity. It's a gift and a curse sometimes. You know, it can be, which I will get to my next question. But because of that, I know for myself, I need to practice gratitude. You know, I need to, because, for instance, when I get rejected and I don't get a gig, or I get this, I'm like, I get into these things, and then it reminds me, no one is immune to it. And if someone, show me someone who's immune to it, I'll show you a liar. but it's like, I need to daily work on that gratitude, you know, because the world is not waiting for what I have to offer, but it really needs it.
Yeah.
You know, it really needs it, but no one is waiting for it. But it's like, do you feel the same about this?
Yeah, I understand, because it's not that somebody going to come and offer it to you. So you do have to take the space. Exactly. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, and only some lucky people can come in a situation where they get asked and they can choose. But let's say that most of the people have to do the work the way we normal people do the work. But I understand that. I also have, and the one, when you want something, I don't know how it is for you, because you're busy with the work and you want to make the best out of the things that you do. You can also get a little bit autistic and sort of narrow-minded, and that can lead to that you are not appreciating the people around helping you, enough feeding them,
Yeah.
and that can close you off. So that's good. So there is important to step back and to show the gratitude,
Exactly.
and that will only help you if you manage to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also this thing of there is no fixed path.
No.
There is a path for everybody, but to stay koppig, how do you say koppig?
Yeah. Stubborn.
Stubborn, yeah.
Yeah.
When you say stubborn and this is how it needs to be,
Yeah.
you're missing out 99.9% of the opportunities that are right in front of you to
Yeah.
be able to manifest the thing that you want,
Yeah.
which is to create in
Yeah.
a sustainable way.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good. I'm very bad in quoting people because I forget the name. But I think somebody also says if we want to change something, we have to be open to do things different, because if we keep looking back and do all the same, it's never going to change.
Yeah.
We're going to repeat. We know what that is.
Einstein is the one that said, if you do the same experiment over and over and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
good.
basically what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yes.
You know?
So we have to dare to go into territory which we don't know, or take advices which not feel uncomfortable with us, but then we're going to explore something new. Then things are able to change, like sort of the expression of a black swan. We do something we don't know,
Exactly.
and then something fantastic comes. But there is a risk. But then things will change. But otherwise, we're just repeating what we've done, and we know the outcome, and it's not going to excite us very much. It's maybe going to be sustainable, but
That's why it's funny, because we had a guest just before you that he said, like, I don't have a crystal ball I can look at and know the future. And I was like, I never want to know the future, because then I would not be surprised.
yeah.
I mean, because then, can you imagine if someone just told you, this is how your life is going to be for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh.
It's funny. I read and listen a lot about writers now, because I'm also interested in to help me, because I do need to write to structure things, not to become a writer. But there's also the main idea is also with film, so that you should plot it out, or you should make a sort of outline. And some people said you have to know the ending, so then you can know how to get to the ending. So it sounds like a great advice and a good things to have the big overview. But you have writers, and I think Stephen King is one. He will never want to know the ending, because then he loses the excitement of writing in the first place, because he starts writing and he's not knowing where he's going to go, and he just write and he will end there, come there. I think there's one more writer who also, so there are some writer who writes like that. They don't want to know where they will end, because they lose the interest in writing.
Yeah.
So it is, every road goes to Rome. You just pick the road which suits you, and take the advice that feels that you connect to, and throw all the other advice away. And even if somebody says that's a good idea, try it out. But if it doesn't work, and if you have a feeling that you do something, and every advice says that that's a bad way of doing it, because they know through tradition that you should do it in another way, don't care. Do it the way you want to do it, and then you will learn from doing that. I think Michel Gondry also have this mentality to break all the... He's just want to do something creative, and he invents it at the moment.
Yeah. Man, it's great. I have a question about the negative part of it.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember a moment where you were just like, I can't be in this production. How am I, that it was a very bad experience for you, and how did you navigate in it? You don't have to mention names. You don't have to mention companies.
I understand. I think there are some. I have had one experience. If you are in a situation and there's obviously people who are not enjoying the situation and are actually, to how I would put it, they put stocks in the wheel.
Yeah.
So when you are cycling, they always, so you have to stop all that. They push on the brake, and they question everything, and they show total distrust in the quality and the capacity of
were you directing
what you do.
in that?
In one way, I was directing, and then I'm validated for my, or I'm, how you say it, not respected in a way, or this. Mostly people say it comes from insecurity and things. And again, if you are swimming in unsafe water, you are more scared, so you pull back. It's much easier to be comfortable in a situation you know than being in a situation you don't know. But that can that can really and the project can really get destroyed there. And it's on both sides also to find a way to communicate then in a good way. I tried and I didn't get out in a good way. It turned out okay, and there's no conflict. But that can be a difficult situation, which people, if you together didn't find the right basis to work from. I've been in some very bad situations.
Tell me, please.
Yeah.
It's good to know. The reason I'm asking is because people that are listening to this, people that are following you, people that follow this podcast, it's good for them to know that also that exists.
Yeah. It can be that it's difficult to talk to a certain situation. Also, some things I don't want to put blame on people or point fingers. If you are in a situation, you're always part of that situation also. Although I do have a feeling where I felt very unrightful, now how you say it?
Unjust?
Unjust, yeah. I think ego is a very big thing, which I'm personally allergic to. If people, and that's why the hierarchy and the status, and there can be conflict. And even if you had a good situation, if something change, then the whole situation change, and then they're difficult to find I can have one, and now I don't want to go, but then you can get in a conflict where you don't try to solve it on a personal level, where there was a connection, it gets sort of distant, and all formality gets involved, and it can get really nasty, and I experienced that. But a good example is, I can say I directed abroad. And there, for the opera, and there's the hierarchy is also very, very strong.
Yeah.
And then I'm a newcomer, so then I'm actually, even if the director is on a high hierarchy, but not if you are a starter. And there in opera, music is the biggest thing. So the conductor and the composer are the top of the pyramid, and then there's the singers. And if you take a director from another genre, so I'm not a musician, and I'm not there are a lot of opera directors who come from opera, from classical music. I didn't, so I know what notes are, but I can't read musically a score. So that's one thing I dig into then to try to learn, because I like to work with music. But there you felt that other people had a higher hierarchy than me, and they started doing difficulties. And then people kick down, and they start kicking at me. So I get responsible for things I couldn't be responsible for, and that felt so unjust.
So you were scapegoated, actually.
Yeah,
it was on the book.
They yelled at me in public.
Wow.
It was really hard. It hurted me enormously. I said, bye. I'm leaving.
Did you quit the production?
I didn't.
You didn't?
But I almost did, yeah. No, and there was one singer, and my heart, I get very emotionally. First time I saw, he stepped up and he said that this, he came up for me. Even he addressed the establishment, even protecting me, and I never seen. And we knew each other. We worked one time before, but we were not really. Now we are really good friends, even if we hardly see each other. But he did. I will keep in my heart forever. It was really touching, and he went with me, and we could have a long talk. And I went back, and I think the stubborn part of me, the one who goes through everything. And every experience is an experience, and I have to go to the end. I will go to the end, and I decide afterwards. So I did. So I went back and I finished it.
How did it feel to finish it, like under these circumstances?
It was okay. I mean, in the opera, when you go on stage on the premiere, people boo to the director if they didn't like it. They can applaud the singers, but they boo the director, and then it's supposed to be very heavy. So and they scream bravo if they love it, or they just applaud. But if they don't like it, they're going to boo, and they're going to boo hard. And so then when the director comes up, they start boo. And I think everything was wet. I was so nervous. They didn't boo.
Oh my God. I was about
But
to
I
cry
thought-
myself.
No, but that was a difficult. But I went through with it and it learned, and I also got apologies from the establishment, and there's a good connection. And we finished good, and we had a good talk afterwards,
Yeah.
and it got settled in a good way. So in that sense, we got back. Everyone realized their fault in the situation and addressed that. So that was fine. So it's good. So I thought I was dying. Yeah. And I didn't know going there to rehearse, and also especially was one singer who was a pain in the ass. Sorry.
And how long was this whole process? How long did it, like the time?
That's the thing. There's on stage when you see it, there's an orchestra with 80 people.
Yeah.
There's 80 choir. There are 15 extra. There are 7 solists. I mean,
Wow, it's humongous. That's huge. Like, I mean, that's... Which piece was that?
It was opera from Massenet, Don Quixote.
Don Quixote, okay.
So it's on a big stage. So it's, I calculated my rehearsing days for this was 17 days.
17 days.
Full days. Then there are run-throughs which are special for the music. Then I can sit and watch, but I can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
In the total, I have from the starting rehearsal till the premiere, it's 5 weeks or something.
Yeah. So 17 days of purgatory, like...
And the beginning was okay, but in the end it was very heavy and hard and pushing. Yeah. But also for the colleagues of mine who made, I brought a set designer, I brought a costume designer, and it was hard for them also. Yeah.
Maybe it's hard to quantify it now, but how did it affect your let's say productions afterwards?
I think it also the loyalty that you have to show, and also how important it is to have a sort of this idea of a traditional classical way of functioning. What you say from your experience with the dance, I think opera and like classical dance still maintain that, or classical music also. I think have this hierarchy.
Sure.
I don't know. Now you say about jazz. I thought that music would be something, because you are so much playing together, that would be more naturally that you are working together.
With the jazz, it's really the people that you choose to work with. I mean, of course, I write music I also wrote it for orchestra, so you need to play the part. It's on me. Like, I have a very different way of conducting. It's very soft and calm. I used to be very angry. Which did not work. It just created like this fear. Yeah, it doesn't.
What's happened.
Yeah, it was in the beginning. I was like, I was insecure. I was just projecting insecurity through domination, and which didn't work. But with jazz specifically, is that the sound that the person is bringing, that is what makes them unique. And then we work together. We work around fixed structures. Like it's let's say there are boundaries that we have to work within, but it's that specific musician that is being chosen to work with, or to play the tour, or to to do the production, and that's their uniqueness. So for me as a band leader, how I work is that I want to bring out that honey and that diamond out through the structures that I'm writing, but in orchestra it's very different, because and of course I'm generalizing, but because there is so much reference, hundreds of years of references, then people become like, we have to maintain this no matter what. And it's almost like a communistic atmosphere, of you have to do it like this. And if not, you'll be replaced like this, And then a lot of people feel a lot of times... they feel like they don't have a voice in it. And then they start creating this like inner hierarchies within the orchestras. Like, you have the first violin, and you have they kind of like go after each other, because people are afraid. I think that people are afraid for their positions a lot of times, and it's...
but that's also then maintaining the classical structure, hierarchy, how it's made before. And I think, and with opera and classical ballet, it tends to stick not everywhere. I think that people can, and I think it's possible to break that open up. And I think people are trying, but it's harder. I mean, it's true. I mean, things that has proven to work, we know that it's working. So it is also a good thing, but that is the only thing.
I mean, we don't ride horses anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. We so there are another level we develop by trying and doing and changing, and then we come to something new. And also we know in sport that still people get faster or more, and that's learning technique. There's one technique doing this, and then suddenly somebody comes with a new technique, and people think that's crazy, but that turns out to be a very good way to jump higher or to. Yeah,
exactly.
But I believe the jumping high that you with your back is something which, in the beginning, you didn't jump like that. There was somebody just start. Why am I
the
not
Frosbury?
Yeah.
When
so
they
you see,
did
that's a totally. So that's evolution. That's development based on knowledge and finding new ways. So, yeah.
It's interesting because I do you know a little bit about jazz or?
No, I'm sorry, I don't know.
No,
anything.
it's something that is connected to that. Like in 1963, John Coltrane, a legendary saxophone player, he was playing the quintet of Miles Davis, and they were playing the Olympia in Paris. And Coltrane, in that time, he was working on that new sound that he's going to present with his new album called Giant Steps. It kind of revolutionized the jazz idiom after that, because he's the only one that did it. Now everybody is doing it. But they were playing the music that they like, and there was a big hall, it was sold out and all that stuff. But Coltrane was already far in his development, and he went and did these type of things. It sounded completely out of context. If anyone's listening to it, go check it out. It's crazy to hear it, because the whole band is playing this traditional stuff, and then all of a sudden he comes with this very out of context for that moment sound. And later on, it's in the biography of Miles Davis, and later on they came out to the dressing room, and Miles looked at him and he said, "You took it really far, huh?" Basically what he did, he was a little bit beyond his time, and he played this idiom, he played that kind of stuff, which later on became just the language of jazz.
Yeah.
But he had to do it.
Yeah.
He had to take the risk and just be like, let me just try it.
Yeah.
Because I know all the language before that. So it makes me think really about also what you said there, and risk-taking. How integral is that with you, the risk-taking?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I wish I would do that more. I do it sometimes, and I try, and every time I try, because I need to know that I have to come to a sort of end. So I wish I would do it more. What I'm now trying to help that is to divide my rehearsals into 2 phases. So I do a starting phase, where I'm not bound to anything, so that I know the theme, I know what I want to explore, and I use it only to explore, to make this possible. And then I have time to bring everything together, to take the plan and the experience from this research, if you call it, and then I can finish writing the concept. And I did now 2 times I've done it, and both times it's been very rewarding. The last time was in June in Bellevue. I worked for then I didn't work in we had 2 days a week or something like this, 2 or 3 days a week, and for a longer time. And that's going to be now the new production, which we're going to rehearse this coming year, and the premiere will be in October. So you see, then it could have stayed there, but it turned out to work that good, and another project fell away. So I thought, let's continue this. Let's use that material because it was really good, and then we make a production. So I hope I will keep it in mind all the time. But I think also what's important, what I find difficult, maybe other people have other opinion about it, but we can't make something new. I mean, I believe everything is already existing, and even what Coltrane then do, it's based on his knowledge till that time. He's breaking through. He goes further. He uses what he did, and it comes in a natural way. So I think that's the only way. We can't invent something that didn't exist, but things can evolve with experience. What does exist, and we can bring it further. So I got into also what is creativity, and I read a lot about this. And there's also a Danish woman who started sort of education, a project collecting all theories and principles to invent, to support creativity. And the big question is, can it be learned? And she says, yes, it can. Brainstorming is it. And what she says, or what she brings, I don't know if it comes from her, but what really connects to me is what we can do is make new connections. So the ingredients are there, but we can mix them up again. We can. I think Coltrane also that. So he found new connection, and that becomes something new.
He basically, and I love that you're saying it. It's taking things that usually are not in the same path and putting them together, and then you have a new sound.
Yeah.
But these two traditions, they were there for thousands of years.
Exactly.
But meeting them together has never been done before. And that's what creates a new thing. Because Coltrane, he was really studying a lot of, let's say, esoteric classical music, and he was studying different types of rhythms that came from Africa. And then he brought them together, and all of a sudden, it's something that is new. But he didn't do anything. Well, the only new thing that he did was direct himself, talking about direction, in a way that he will put these things together that haven't been done before. And then all of a sudden, there was a new sound. You know, so that's also what I see with your work, I have to say, you know?
This is what I think. So I don't say I haven't invented anything. Everything I use exists before. I take the example of cooking. Sometimes also a cliche of...
I was just about to say cooking.
There are no new vegetable. We have all the... But music, well, there
all
are
the
different...
notes have been done.
Yes.
All of it.
It's only you combine them.
Yeah.
And it's how you combine the notes and what element you are hit. It's endless. So with the limited ingredients, there are endless possibility, because you can do with texture, form, and everything. So so don't look for doing something never done before. Look for bringing your fascination, bring all these elements together. And this is what I try to do. So that's why I combine dance with the theater, which has been done forever. So that's nothing new, but nothing is. But maybe horror, this magic, visual effects, a genre from a movie into the stage, all these are, and that becomes something, a new experience. Not because the ingredients are new, it's because the combination of the ingredients has never been done before.
Exactly. That creates new paradigms.
And that's with also the simple things which are recognizable is also a new combination. And sometimes it works better than other times, but by trying, you explore it and you find it, and suddenly, bang, it's kind of
interesting, because what technology created is just that these kind of processes that are very human, which is, let's say, you travel to 500 years ago, you travel to a different country and you see things you haven't seen before, and you bring it back to your country, all of a sudden it's new, right? Like we said, a combination of you know, the Columbus and his you know, expeditions and all that stuff, you know, that he wanted to bring new stuff that were existing already. But right now what is happening with technology is that the 500 years that we're talking about, or like, not the 500, sorry, the 3 months it will take you to travel somewhere else is happening in 3 seconds. And all of a sudden everything is just hyperbolically changing so quickly that's why we're seeing this affluent creation of things. But at the same time, the people like yourself that understand that this subtle connection between these things needs to take also time.
Yes.
Right? It needs to take time, instead of like, let's do it quickly and finish it. Because how long did it take you to do horror?
Yeah, this we also used, I think, for horror and for knockout. Normally I rehearse 12 weeks, 3 months. And I think for both these, it was more.
I'm talking more about the concept. This one. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, much longer. So that's also, I plant a seed, so this, and then I let it grow. And so horror was actually planned long before. I think I even wrote it in one of my artistic plans the round before we made it. but I didn't get there. So every time, and I knew I needed the right support for it, and so financially also, and that was I didn't have it, but I really wanted to do it, and I think in my head it was for years before we really got into production.
Yeah.
But it didn't write and anything. It was more that the need of wanting to do it. So this is also a weird thing for me, that I get ideas, and and I don't know what to do it, and it's there, and it grows, and if it stays, then it is a good idea, and then I go on it. So if I come back to it more often, so now I have some ideas which I've been laying for, and they keep on coming back. So I think, okay, now I have to do them. But some idea need a support, a financial support or a structural support that I don't have yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to wait maybe to do it the way you want to do it. I heard about a Swedish writer, Jan Guillou. He had a very hard childhood. He got his father beat him and so on. And he wanted to tell that story. But he wanted it to be he needed he couldn't miss. He has one hit, and he has to hit it, because if he miss, it's not. So then, but he never written anything. So he then I have to start learning how to write. So he started writing book, and he got famous writing books. But he didn't gonna write this book.
Wow.
It was
So
he was waiting,
practiced.
till he know now I can write it, and then he wrote the book.
He was practicing.
Yeah. So he decided. So he knew my first book is never going to be that good. And if I want to write this story, it need to be that good. So I'm going to write other books before I write this book.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. Because do you also kind of like scribble concept for yourself before, or does it stay here? Like how does it?
It stays here because writing, so I have a good memory, but I now start scribble also.
Yeah.
And so I do some notations, and but mostly here, and
Man, I'm enjoying this podcast so much, man. It's
no, nice. Thank you. Yeah, me too. It's been nice talking.
And what would be the thing that, like, where is it going in the next 4 years for you?
Yeah, now I have money for the next 4 years. So we have now 4 big projects. So the new one is We Don't Live Here Anymore. It's going to be a smaller project with 4 players. And then we go big again. So the production, I have one with the title I'm Not a Serial Killer, which I really want to make a musical theater piece from. I say musical theater. I like musical in the sense that music and singing is the way of telling a story. And I realize, if I look back in the work I've done, that I actually done a lot of music theater, although I wouldn't call myself as a musical theater person. But I think 4 or 5 production, there's live music, and there's been singing, and I try to add up more. So that's a genre that I would want to make new connections with. New connection in the musical sense, new connection with the artistically working together, and see if I can explore it.
About the serial killer.
I'm Not a Serial Killer, based on a book from Don Wells. And I'm going to make a theater adaptation of a Swedish movie together, Tillsammans. And then I have this, I'm going to direct something for the Dutch Nederlandse Opera, Dutch Opera, a family production.
Nice.
And I have other small projects that I'm going to do. But I hope for sure this will happen. But there is a big sort of for the future. We already tried it. I think it's nice to make theater touching on more level at once. I love the classical form of theater. Being in a theater, you go and they have the red curtains. I even love the red curtains because it's like you get a parcel, you get a present, and it's packed. You don't know what's in the present, and you pack it open. That's like the curtain. It opens. That's why I want the world which is coming is never what you expect it to be. And it's not the theater. But I think today, also for young people, and also to stimulate in the situation in the digital world we are living in, and also to detox from it and maybe a little bit. There's a new form which evolved called immersive theater. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, I heard about it, yeah. But tell me more, yeah.
And I would like to do an immersive theater project. And there was a starting just before COVID, and COVID killed it. So we had some partners, and it was really looking good. And I made a whole plan, but then COVID came, and insecurity and money and everything. So that stopped it. But the concept is still laying there, and I really believe it. I don't know if Holland is ready for it. If you have because it's quite expensive and you need an audience, and if it's possible, but that's a big dream for me to see if I can realize a big immersive theater project.
Can't wait to see it, man. Jakop, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Really, I can't thank you enough. It's been such a learning experience for me, and I enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, thank you. Me too.
And please, everybody who's listening to it, check out his work. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. And like and subscribe. And we will see you at the theater.